40 years ago, I made the smallest money decision of my life, and I almost didn't notice I'd made it. I'm going to tell you what it became. But the number at the end won't mean anything until you've stood where I was standing, so let me put you there one ordinary morning at a time. It's 7:52 in the morning. You're third in the drive-through line, card already in your hand, engine still running. A coffee you order out of habit, a warm pastry you didn't plan on, $5, near enough. You tap the card, and there's no weight to it, nothing your body files away as spending. You drop the bag on the seat beside yesterday's and roll back into traffic. Ask you at noon what you bought, and you couldn't tell me. That's the quiet power of $5. It's the exact size that leaves your life without leaving a mark. Hold on to that, because I'm about to hand you the same $5 every morning for 40 years and show you the two strangers it slowly turns you into. You're 25. Next morning, same line, same card. This time you roll past the window. No coffee, no pastry. You park, open an app from the night before, and send $5 into an index fund. The whole market, one tap, no opinion required. The balance reads $5, and it looks like a joke you're playing on yourself. You feel faintly ridiculous, like someone planting a single seed in a field the size of a county. Nothing lights up. No win, no rush, nothing to check. Just $5 sitting inside something that owns a thin slice of nearly every company on Earth. So you do it again and again. Then you automate it. So the money is gone before your hand can reach for anything with a lid, about $150 a month, leaving on schedule. And here's the part it took me years to see. The $5 vanished either way. All you ever changed was the direction it vanished in. 1 year in, the balance is around $1,900. You put in $1,800. The market added the rest while you slept, $75. You mention it at lunch, and a coworker asks what you've made. You tell him, and he laughs, not unkindly, just honestly. $75 in a year, he says. I spend that on lunch by Wednesday. He's right. He buys the coffee, the lunch, the small thing at every register, his own $5 a day, scattered across 100 comforts he won't be able to name by winter. You don't defend it. You just close the laptop. This year, the gap between you is $75 and one habit nobody can see. The 75 was never the point. The habit was the entire point. 35 years in, around 11,000, 9 you put in, the rest grown out of nothing but patience. A friend texts a screenshot, a coin you've never heard of, up 400% in a week. He's in for $2,000. Your fund, he says, is a savings account wearing a costume. He's right about the speed, he's wrong about the direction. You know this shape. A small number becoming a huge one with no time in the middle. You pass. 3 months later, the coin is down 90%, and he's gone quiet. And to be honest, your fund doesn't move in a straight line either. Some years it climbs, some years it sits, and 1 year it will frighten you. It just keeps a promise. The coin never made. 35. 10 years, and the balance clears 27,000 until it doesn't. The market breaks. The word crash is on every screen. In a few weeks, a third of your money is gone on paper, more than you earned all year. Here is the only thing you do about it. Nothing. You don't sell, you don't even open the app, you let the number bleed, and you keep the same 150 leaving every month, buying the same fund at the lowest prices in a decade. You're not brave, you're just not interested in panicking. And it turns out that not panicking is the whole skill, and almost nobody has it. By the time the headlines agree it's safe again, your boring little habit has already bought the bottom no one else could see. 40. 15 years. The market does what it has always, eventually done, and the balance lands near 52,000. You've fed it about 27. So sit with that. The account now holds more than you ever put into it. That's the hinge the whole story swings on. Up to this morning, you were carrying it. From this morning on, it starts carrying you. That spring, a coworker is let go with nothing under him but the next paycheck. You have a number you've never touched, waiting in the dark, and you finally understand what the $5 was always doing. It was never only about being old someday. It was a wall you'd been building, one brick a morning, between you and the year the floor drops out. If the quiet version of money is the one you've been looking for, that's what this channel is. Now back to the number. It's about to behave strangely. 45, 20 years. Around 89,000. You put in 36, and it doubled your work on its own. At a reunion that summer, someone rolls in with a leased car that costs a year of your salary. You arrive in the paid-off one you've driven for 8 years. The coworker who laughed at your 75 is there, still buying the coffee, half joking. He asks whether you ever did anything with that little app. You tell him you kept going. He asks the number. You say it, and the table goes quiet in a way you didn't want. You change the subject. The $5 was never loud. It was the one thing at that table that never needed to be. Then, around 48 comes the hardest morning of them all, and it isn't a crash, it's a temptation. Life hands you a reason, a roof that has to be replaced, a sure thing, a friend swears by, a version of you that could finally stop driving the old car. The account is big enough now to solve all of it before lunch. Your thumb hovers over the sell button, and for the first time in 23 years, you seriously think about stopping. You don't. You find the money another way, the slower way, and you leave the fund alone. Nobody applauds a thing you didn't do. But this is the morning that pays for all the others, because the deposits were never the hard part. Not spending it was. 50, 25 years, around 144,000. You read the headlines differently now, the ones about people your age with almost nothing saved, about retirement drifting out of reach for ordinary earners. You are an ordinary earner. Same job, same salary, same traffic as everyone in those articles. The only difference is that for 25 years you turned down a coffee and a pastry and quietly aimed the difference at the dullest fund in existence. Your friends talk about retirement like a wave rising toward them. You've mostly stopped talking about it at all. 55, 30 years, around 226,000, of which you contributed maybe 55 in pieces small enough to lose in a couch cushion. The rest was never your labor. It was time's, and all you did was refuse to interrupt it. This is the year the math changes hands for good. One strong year now adds more to the account than you could, even if you doubled every deposit by hand. You've become a passenger in a car you spent 30 years pushing. What you built is finally bigger than the building of it. 65, 40 years from the morning you first drove past the window. The balance is about $531,000, and the shape of it is the entire lesson. Of that $500,000, the part that was ever actually yours to earn, $5 a day, 40,000 mornings, comes to 73,000. Everything above it, roughly 458,000, is growth. Money you never worked for, never noticed leaving, never watched arrive. You didn't get lucky, you didn't pick a winner, you didn't outsmart a single person. You skipped one small comfort 40,000 times and let the smallest amount that exists sit in the most boring place that exists for the longest stretch of time you had. That's the whole machine. There is no hidden second half, no faster door. The slowness was the price, and it's the one price almost no one will pay, because it takes a lifetime to hand you the receipt. The coworker retires the same year you do, same job, same pay, the whole road. He spent his $5 a day on 1,000 small good mornings he can't point to now. Add them all up, and they come to the same 73,000, the exact same money, drunk one warm cup at a time. You stood in the same line, held the same card, on the same mornings, for 40 years. He walks out with a lifetime of small pleasures. You walk out with those same mornings, mostly, and $500,000 that spent your whole life working a second shift you never saw. So that's what it became. Not a jackpot, not a windfall, nothing anyone will make a film about. Just the same $5, pointed a different way and left alone so long I forgot I'd ever decided anything. And somewhere this morning, at 7:52, someone is idling in a drive-thru with a card in their hand, with no idea they're about to answer the same small question I did. They won't feel the $5 leave. I never did either. That was always the trick of it. You don't get to choose whether the $5 disappears. You only get to choose, quietly, which of the two strangers it's turning you into while you're not looking.